Hello, welcome back to season 2 of Speak Your Bold Truth. I am Kim Boudreaux Smith. I am a speaking and communication leadership coach for women. I'm also a speaker and an author, and of course, a podcast host. Thank you, and welcome back to season 2. I took a couple of months off for a multitude of reasons, and that's not what I'm going to talk about today. So bear with me. Bear with me if you get my newsletter and you've read about this already, or if you've seen a video on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about pressing pause, because a couple of weeks ago, I pressed pause. And I pressed pause on my business and also on social media, because on January 19th, my father was taken into the emergency room here at the local hospital. And I went in with the hospital with him as I was having a little bit of an anxiety attack in this pandemic, entering a hospital where COVID is very, very present. And they don't let you go past the emergency room. So they admitted him to get him better. And I never thought in a million years, when that Tuesday on January 19th, I walked out of the hospital, that would be the last physical time I would be seeing my father. Now, 10 days later after that, January 19th, that Tuesday, he passed away. But the first 5 days he was in the hospital, oh my gosh, he was fine. It was the last 5 days, took a turn for the worst and really caught us all off guard. But anyways, what I'm here to talk about is pressing pause and the power of pause. We live in a society where it is a badge of honor for being so damn busy. And it's accepted. Hi, how are you? I'm busy. Oh, yeah, I can't make that. I'm busy. To me, busy is one of the most nastiest 4-letter words we can have in our language. And I don't care what language you speak. Any language, it's one of the nastiest 4-letter words. When we become so busy like this, we have no time for anything. So one thing is, when we overpack our schedules, we show up half-ass to our commitments, or we don't show up at all. We don't get to be in 100% when we make commitments, when we make these commitments, and when our schedule is so overly packed like this. In fact, what that overpacked schedule does, it overwhelms us even more. It feeds the inner critic, aka the hag in the attic. Come on, you all know me. And if you don't know me, I call the inner critic the hag in the attic. It ramps up the imposter syndrome, the perfectionism, the anxiety, the depression, the depleted adrenal glands when we have packed schedules like this. Then what happens when life throws you curveballs or unexpected things? Let me see. I was driving down the road, and yes, we are doing some driving. Of course, not to the extent that we were a year ago. But my tire thing went on. Like, oh my God. And I have the time to pull over and go make sure and there's nothing wrong with my tire. It's just I didn't want to, because it's like a whole whooping 12 degrees here. It's cold. So when you get a flat tire, what do you do when you have a packed schedule? How about when one of your children wakes up sick? What do you do when you have a packed schedule? We lose it. Or when you're dealing with aging parents and one of them calls you and says, "This is what's going on. I'm calling 911. What do you do when you have a packed schedule? Sweep those emotions underneath the rug so that inner critic can control you more and be bigger? I'm so fortunate that, yes, when that phone call came for the emergency room run for my father, my schedule was getting busy and packed. I got to admit, I'm addicted to busy. I'm an ex-high impact aerobic instructor. But here's what happened after they admitted him And we were talking about rehab in a couple of days, moving him out, get him strong again, all this great stuff. I have 2 dry erase boards in my office. One at any time I could lift my eyes up and look across the room at it. And there were all these programs I was going to put out this year. And I have to tell you, every time I looked at it, I was getting controlling and addictive and even bitchy looking at it. Something did not feel right. So about 2 to 3 days in, my father being in the hospital, I erased everything off that board. And the other dry erase board that I have sitting on an easel here next to my desk, I erased all of that as well. I also sat down here and said to myself, gosh, the universe has a really funny way of delivering things. Because that week when he was admitted into the hospital was a week when I was beginning a 6-week program. And let me tell you, my head was nowhere even in the arena for that. So when we are overpacked, busy schedules, we fall into bed at night so completely exhausted and just keep saying that we don't have time to take care of myself. And I don't have time for this. And okay, first of all, I'm going to stop saying that. Time is flipping time 24/7, 365. It's up to you what you want to do at that time. So I pressed pause. Now, did I completely stay off of social media and out of my business? No, but I slowed it way down where I was not posting. I took a week off from seeing clients, and I gave myself the space to breathe and to pause. So when I put this out in a newsletter a week ago and posted on Instagram and LinkedIn about pressing pause, it wasn't to share with everybody that my father had passed. It was it was like my re-entry back in, that I was gently pressing the play button. And this is what I felt called to post. So I want to talk a moment here about the power of pause. P.O.P. P.O.P. It is such a powerful tool. In fact, it's a major tool that I teach my clients when they are getting ready to step into keynote speaking or presenting, communicating, making a phone call to go into their boss's office, their team lead's office, or, they've got something set up because they're going in to ask for that promotion that they so well damn deserve. To pause and take several deep breaths. Or if you're in the midst of conversation and you feel yourself getting too worked up, instead of saying words that you cannot take back, pause. Or if you are a speaker and a presenter and you like to talk really fast, and if any of you have ever experienced me on a stage, I talk fast. Like I said, I'm an high impact aerobic instructor. My energy gets going, but I talk fast. You hear my words. I land my words, and I also will pause so that what I have said will land and has landed. And what I'm going to say next is really going to make impact. So if you're one of those persons that they're speaking, oh yeah, I really like to talk, I've got so much to say in 20 minutes and pause, people, pause. This is not about how much you can get out of your mouth in an X amount of time. To pause. Let people's brains and their bodies catch up with you. That's one thing of pausing, the power of pause. The other thing is, I teach women how to get out of their heads and more into their bodies. When we're in our heads too much, that's where all those sensations are controlling us and taking us over. Where when we get back into our bodies, I'm not saying those sensations go away, but then we're managing those sensations. We remove that runaway train feeling. To pause for yourself. Take deep breaths, pause, feel into the emotions, and know that you're the driving conductor of those, not them controlling you. The power of pause is amazing. To maybe do it first thing in the morning before you jump out of bed and go running into your day. To pause. I pause every morning with my cup of coffee and my protein bar that I sit and dunk that protein bar into my coffee. It's a treasure for me. And then I grab my 3 books. 2 of them are daily inspirational sayings, and another one is a book of choice that I'm reading right now. And I pause before I start jumping. But here's what I am going to do moving forward. I am now adding more pauses throughout my day. And when I'm ready to press the play button again, I'm going to gently press it and not slam it on. I'm going to be more intentional with my time and what I'm doing with my time. I'm going to get it done. I'm a high driving, get it done, get shit done kind of girl. And this process, the 10 days with my father in the hospital, especially the last 5 days, I was making decisions, talking with doctors, physician assistants, nurses, I was making decisions because I was his advocate, his voice and power of attorney, that I hope nobody ever has to make these kind of decisions. But what I realized and caught this in time, that when I get going like this, because shit needs to get done, I forget the others who are standing around me. I caught it in time. I was able to breathe, slow it down for a moment, and allow others to step in. That is one huge awareness that came out of these 10 days. I'm taking more pauses. I'm taking a pause throughout the day to let my emotions come up if I need to sit and tear up and cry. I'm taking pauses if I need to step out of my office, walk down the hall, and just laugh. I'm taking pauses where I put on my winter boots, my winter coat, since we got a lot of snow, and go out in the backyard with my 1 dog and run around like we're maniacs in that snow. I am taking pauses. I'm not going to worry anymore who's reaching out to me to be a client or anything like that. Because when I do that, those power pauses go away. And then I start working against the universal time. So I bring all of you, what moments of pausing will you give yourself the gift of? It's all a part of that extreme self-care. I'm going to release the grind. I'm going to stay gritty, but I'm going to release that grind and step in to more peacefulness with a healthier mindset. I'm going to continue to be work in progress as I keep implementing power of pauses and gently pressing the play button. So please, sharing is love. Please share this podcast if you know of anybody struggling with these power of pauses and pressing that pause button. If this was a great reminder for you, please reach out to me. I can be found on LinkedIn, of course, on my website at Kim B. Smith. Leave me a message. Reach out. Let me know how you are doing with those power of those pauses. Thank you so much. And I'll see you here next week. Speak your bold truth.